Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm David, and you are watching Tech for You, Tech That Matters. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you into the settings of OBS on what settings will be great for you, so that way you guys can start streaming and creating content for your YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Welcome back to the channel, guys. So this is OBS Studio. It might look a little bit different, but the reason for that is because I have a display capture, which is giving you the advantage to seeing everything that I see. So this method here is going to be a little bit easier, so you can follow along with me as needed to make the appropriate settings for your desktops. Now, again, this video is going to be on how to um, basically implement the correct settings for low-end PCs. And I think this is a great advantage for people that doesn't have the funds to have a high-end PC. So with this particular video, with me showing you guys what exactly needs to be inputted correctly, so that way you can have a smooth streaming experience, will benefit me and including everybody else watching this video. So the first thing you want to do is download it into your system, and then go right here where your control panel was at, and I want you to go into your settings. Now, once your settings is here and loaded, you don't really need to worry about anything in this area. And the reason for that is because mainly this is all just like your theme right here. I have mine set to dark. You have other options where you can choose from, and I'll just give you a glimpse. So here's one theme, and this is pretty much what it would be looking like. I'm not a really big fan of this. I don't like the different color neon look. I prefer just simple by default, so that's why I have this here. But again, you don't really need to worry about anything under this general tab. You can leave everything here completely alone. If you see anything that's checked in, don't mess with it. Just go on to the next tab, which is your stream. Now, this is the most important part of OBS, because if you guys are wanting to stream onto Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, this is a main key factor that you need to pay attention to. In this area here, where it says service, this is the service that I chose to go ahead and do my live streams. Now, you can click on this tab here and choose Facebook or Twitter or Twitch or YouTube, etc. Once you make your selections, go ahead down to server, and what you want to do is OBS is going to give you a list, and you need to choose which is the closest to you. Right now I'm stationed in Houston, Texas, so US West California is the closest server that would help run OBS very smoothly and have a very strong connectivity. So that's how you would determine what to choose. If you choose anything else that's further away from you, 50-50 chance this may or may not work. But it's very important to make sure you implement the correct server. Now, right here where it says Stream Key, this is very easy to obtain. When I first got OBS, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how to obtain my Stream Key. But after I realized how to do this, it was very, very easy. So, number one, you choose a service. Number two, make sure you're signed into that service and you have an active account. Number three, make sure the server is correct. And then number four, go ahead and right here where it says Get Stream Key, after you make your initial service, your request of your choosing, go get Stream Key. You click on this button. It's going to take you to the service that you're providing to want to have OBS connected to. Once you hit that Stream Key, it's going to take you in to that service. So it could either be YouTube, Twitter, Periscope. It's going to take you into that account. You log in, and OBS is going to literally take you into a section where your Stream Key is going to be visible. You copy it, and then you paste it here, right where it says Stream Key. That is it. Do not hit apply yet, okay? After you paste your stream key, then you hit apply. Now, gonna go down to your output. Right here is the settings for my PC, because again, my PC is a low-end PC only because it's an Intel Core i3 7th generation, okay? And the graphics card isn't all that great. So this is why I have it set up to this. In output mode, you want to go into where it says Advanced. Right when you get into Advanced, you're going to see these tabs right here. You only have 4, okay? Streaming, recording, audio, and replay buffer. Now, if you guys want to record content without having the actual initiative to stream, that is absolutely fine. Go into your recordings. On your type, you want to make sure it's selected to standard. Your recording path depends on where you want to have your video saved. For me, I have it in a folder called videos. So as soon as I hit stop recording, OBS is going to transfer that recording to that file name. That's where you can that's where you can actually locate it. It's not going to be grayed out like this right now. The only reason why it looks this way is because I'm actually in the middle of a recording, so I can show you guys the basic settings for your low-end PCs. So don't freak out if you can't access it. As long as you're not recording, you'll have access to it. Now, once you hit standard and you got your recording path set, don't worry about the generate file name without space. Don't even need to worry about that. On the recording format, you want to go ahead and make sure it's selected to MKV. And as far as your audio tracks, if you only have one audio track, that's what you select. If you have multiple, then you select the multiple tracks that you do have. Now, your encoder, you always want to make sure it's used as stream encoder. Don't make anything else. Just leave it the way this is. Don't worry about anything here where it says custom settings. Leave that blank. Now we're going to go into your audio. 9 out of 10 times, because again, if you have a low-end PC, you don't want to go over anything at 128. Okay, you want to keep your audio bitrate to a minimum. Now, this is the reason why I say this. When I stream, and I'm about to go live on Periscope, I go into producer mode, damn tongue twister, I swear today. Right when you're in Periscope, you're in producer. The very bottom is going to say, please fix errors before live streaming. You'll scroll down and it will tell you if you need to, basically adjust your audio bitrate or your video bitrate or whatever the case may be. Usually it tells me 128, then it tells me 96. So it's not always the same for me. It might be the same for everybody else. But again, I'm not everybody else. I don't have the same PC as everyone else in this world. So keeping it at 96 for me works. So what you need to do is test it on a trial run before actually going live and find out which bitrate is good for you. So make sure you keep that in mind. And if you do adjust the bitrate, again, 96 or 128 is what I would suggest focusing on. Now, if you have multiple tracks, you want to make sure that it's the same as track 1. Okay, don't want to mix it. If you only have one track, leave one track there, call it a day. Replay buffer, don't really need to worry about this. Recording, we already discussed. Now we're going to go into streaming. Again, same result. If you only have one track, keep it as 1. If you have multiple, you know what to do. Encoder, with me having a low-end graphics card, I went ahead and chose this option here, H.264. Obviously, my graphics card was not listed inside the settings of OBS, so I only had 2 settings. And this setting here for H.264 works for me. If it does not work for you, you can always do the times 264, and that should resolve any problems with lagging or buffering per se. So go ahead and check that option. Enforce streaming service encoder settings, go ahead and make sure you have that checked in. Now, where it says Rescale Output 1920 by 1080, basically what you need to do is go into your PC settings and you need to find out your resolution because you want to match up your resolution display with OBS's display. The reason for that is because once you're streaming, you want to have everything balanced enough where you get a very healthy and clear perspective on your video stream. Now, right where it says target usage, you want to go ahead and keep it at balance. You want to put your profile to high Make sure your keyframe interval is set to 3 and your rate control is set to CBR. Now, here is the bitrate section. Now, this could be tricky for different individuals. The higher that I went on my bitrate, the more lagging that I experienced while live streaming. I went ahead and messed with it. I was from 2500 and I worked all the way down until I got to 1500. When I got to 1500, I noticed a better view of my stream. It wasn't lagging at all, and if it did lag, it would lag once in a great blue moon. So it was very sturdy, it was very clear, and this particular bitrate worked for me. It may not be the same as for everybody else, but I would have to say don't go higher than 2500 on your bitrate. I would say the minimum you can do on this is 800 because I've done it. So again, not all the same settings is going to be equal to everybody else. You have to mess with this to make sure that this is right for you. Now, as far as the latency, I would keep it at normal. The B frames, I would keep it at 3, literally. Keep it at 3. Subjective video enhancements, entirely up to you if you want to do that. But if you select this, OBS is going to work a little bit harder and it could affect your bit rate. So be careful and mess around with it to see what works for you. Now we're going to go into your audio. Now, into your settings, if you go down here where your little icon is at for your sounds, you want to right click this, and then you're going to have an option where it says sounds. You need to click sounds. And I'm hoping that I can show you while I'm in OBS, so you can find out exactly where you need to go to find out what your sample rate is, because not everybody's sample rate is the same. Okay, so here is the menu for the sound to find out where your sample rate is going to be at. You want to go to your recordings. I think it's going to be recordings, yes. Now this right here is what I'm using to record my audio. This is my Behringer UMC 202 HD. This is what I record with all the time. This is my default device. Once you get in here and you find your default device, you want to right click and then you want to go down into properties. Once you go into properties, what you want to do is go into advanced. And right here, this is going to tell you where your sample rate is going to be at, so that way you can adjust it right here. And that's how you find out exactly what to implement into the settings in audio. Now, channels, you want to make sure it's strictly at stereo because you want to get the best sound humanly possible. You want to make sure that your stream is well developed enough where video and audio are clear and everybody can understand and see you without any technical issues. That's what I suggest. Now, desktop audio. This really all depends on you and what you're planning on doing with OBS Studio. With me, I host a podcast, I do live streams with my podcast, and I have people that usually come in for interviews, and when I'm streaming, I want the viewers to actually participate by listening in on the conversations. So basically, with my audio interface, the desktop audio goes in to the audio interface, flushes it into OBS and out to you guys. So this is what I have selected to make this actually possible. Now, if you're not going to do anything like that, you don't technically have to have this selection mess with. You can keep it as disabled or you can set it to default. Entirely up to you. Same thing for the desktop audio. Again, depends on what you plan on doing with OBS. You need to make the proper selections. Now, this right here is my mic. Again, this is what I record with every single thing that I do, content for YouTube, podcast, whatever the case may be. My audio is being recorded with my Behringer UMC. So this is the microphone. You have to find the brand that you're using to record your audio, make the selection, and then as far as everything else, if you only have one microphone, keep everything else disabled. If you have multiple, then same scenario. You find your item and then you go ahead and put it in where it says audio 2, 3, and 4. Now, meters, decay rate, you want to go, and here's the thing. You have one or two options. You can either go fast or medium. Again, this all depends on your PC. I would suggest staying it with fast. I wouldn't go to medium or anything else unless you absolutely have to. Now, the peak meter type, I would always keep it at sample peak. Now, this is a very good reason why I suggest this. If you turn this into true peak, OBS Studio is going to be consuming a lot more CPU. And if that is the case, you can experience a lot of issues. If you're streaming live, you can experience lagging, freezing in the video, poor connectivity. I mean, with OBS consuming so much CPU, it's going to ruin your opportunity and the enjoyment of live streaming. So that's why I suggest keeping it at sample peak. Now, if you don't care about CPU usage, you have a high-end PC and you say the hell with it, you just want to do it this way, then you can go to true peak and that's that. But low-end PC guys like us, sample peak is the best way to go. Monitoring device, my headphones, my microphone here. I'm monitoring my audio. This is what I've chose. Same scenario as up in here. You choose your audio device that records your audio. Select it here. And then right here where it says disable Windows audio ducking, go ahead and check this in. Hotkeys. I am not going to get into hotkeys, but I will be making a tutorial video on how to implement hotkeys into OBS sometime soon. So make sure you look out for that video. Now that all this is completed, you want to go into video. Again, you need to make sure and find out what your display is on your current PC if you're going to be using OBS. Mine is 1920 by 1080p, so you want to make sure that the base and the output are the exact same. Now, the downscale filter, because again, with me having a low-end PC, you want to select this at 16 samples. Big cubic. Make sure you select this. Now, if you have a better PC than I do, you can go ahead and mess with it. I would probably suggest using, if I stand corrected, if I can say this correctly, Lazarus. I would suggest choosing that because that is the best filter above Big Cubic. So that's just my opinion. Now, I would suggest keeping it at 30 frames per second because of my PC, but if you feel that you need to go a little bit lower than 30, you can go to 29.9 on your FPS values and work with that and see how it works for you. If it's an advantage to keep, go ahead and do so. Now we're going to skip hotkeys again. I'm going to be doing a tutorial video about that very, very soon. Check that out. Now we're going to go into your advanced section. Now the process priorities, always keep it at high. You can keep it at normal if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend going to below normal, above normal, or idle. I would stick with high for now. Now the video rendering, I would keep it at Direct 3D 11. Color format, I would keep it at NV12, color space 709, and color range partial. This is what I would suggest to implement into the video section here. Now your recording file name formatting, this is basically what was already done when I downloaded OBS. I did not do anything to this. I would suggest leaving this alone and not really worry too much about this. Same thing, don't worry about this section here. Stream delay, this section you got to pay attention to. And the reason for that is because this is basically saying that you have a stream delay of 5 seconds. So basically, if you're live doing a stream and you're looking yourself in OBS preview mode, but you're monitoring your comments and you're monitoring your video on a tablet or a laptop, you can do that, but you will see the difference between both devices knowing that there is a delay in one of the videos. So that's basically what this is saying. Now, here's the thing. If you choose a higher duration, it will consume your megabytes. And you have to think about this very carefully because the higher the number you go on your duration, the more megabytes it's going to consume. And on top of that, CPU is basically going to be working a little bit more. So you really want to, technically, you really want to avoid that. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, because right now I have this set to 5. So let's say I want to set this to 20. If I'm correct, if I set this to 20, then this is going to go up to 3 megabytes. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, this went up to 3 megabytes. So I would highly suggest keeping it to a minimum. I would say the highest I would suggest would be 8. And I'm going to show you why. So let's go ahead and erase 5 and put 8. So if you do 8, it's taking only 1 megabyte. So that's not like a really big deal. But, you know, it's entirely up to you and what your PC can handle. Now, right here where it says automatically reconnect, it says enable. I would go ahead and check this in. Retry delay is for 10 seconds. I would go ahead and implement this here as well. And a maximum tries, well, that's entirely up to you and how you feel about the retries on reconnecting your live stream video if anything were to happen. Once you make all of your choices and you have selected everything inside OBS settings, you want to hit apply. Because if you don't hit apply and you just hit OK, you would have to start this all over again, and that can be a complete disaster. So go ahead and hit OK after you apply the settings, and that is it, guys. That is the settings for OBS Studio if you guys have a low-end PC, but you want to live stream. So there you go. So that concludes the tutorial video of OBS Studio of how to implement the correct settings. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. But until then, I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.